Po ng ating komunikasyon ngayong umaga si Attorney Martin Delgra. Attorney, good morning po and Merry Christmas po sa inyo. Makakasama po ninyo sa dito si
Ah,
Jade Admar po ito.
Hello Jay at Admar, good morning po at magandang umaga din sa inyo mga tagapakinig
Opo,
at
Attorney.
mga nanonood din po.
Yes po, Merry Christmas po again and kukumustahin lang naman namin ano bang balita po ninyo sa ating dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte doon po sa ICC. Kumusta po ang kanyang pagdiriwang ng Pasko?
Mukhang malungkot kasi nasabi na po. Actually, I was there about first week of December and we were already told na walang bisita sa panahon ng Pasko at New Year. Kaya buti na lang din na may mga membro ng pamilya, the latest of which was I saw Kitty Duterte there at The Hague, no? Nabisita niya yung papa niya, 24, pero walang bisita ng 25. Sa 26 siguro makakabisita na naman pagkatapos ng Pasko.
Opo.
So yun po yung kalagayan niya pagdating sa kung ano yung pagbibisita sa kanya. Pero mayroong panawagan din po na yung abogado niya ay recall, si Attorney Kaufman was saying na kung meron kayong ipapadala ng mga Christmas greetings, pwede niyo ipadala sa kanya para mabasa niya, no? Kahit na gaano karami yan, aabot din yan doon sa detention facility where he is staying.
Opo, hanggang New Year ho ba? Hindi po pwedeng bisitahin ang dating Pangulong Duterte doon po sa ICC dahil holiday nga.
Pagkaalam ko po yung sinasabi nating holiday, yung Christmas at saka New Year. So in between that, pag wala pong holiday, pwede pong bibisitahin. Depende po sa schedule. Kasi meron pong schedule tinatalaga yung detention facility. At
Opo.
hindi po yung buong araw na pinapayagan na pagbibisita. Meron pong oras sa pagbibisita doon sa kanya.
Opo. So hindi naman po ito first time talagang ganyan po yung naging ang kalakaran ng ICC. Pagdating po sa yung mga gustong bumisita, yung visitation arrangements po nila pagdating po ng Pasko at Bagong Taon.
Well, probably because this is the first time, no, na umabot talaga yung pagdidetine ng dating Pangulo sa Paskong ito. Kasi if we may recall, March 11, kinuha po siya at dinala sa Hague. So ito po yung unang Pasko and hopefully the last, no? Pagdating sa pagdititine sa dating Pangulo.
Opo. Pero maaari ho ba ninyong maituring din yung issue ng karapatang pantao, yung hindi po pagpapahintulot ng family visits po tuwing court holidays, Attorney?
Merong minimum in terms of human rights, ano? Kahit na dito sa ating bansa, meron ding pagbibisita na karapatan ng pagbibisita sa mga detine dito. So I hope the ICC would also have that same human rights, the same rights afforded to detainees in their facility.
Opo.
So hindi lang po yan. Alam po natin na dito medyo maluwag ng konti pagdating sa hindi lang pagbibisita, kahit na yung pagdadala ng pagkain galing sa labas, lalo na yung mga pagkain na gustong-gusto ng detained person, no, dito sa atin. Pero doon po, hindi po pinapayagan yung mga pagkain na gustong-gusto ng ating dating Pangulo.
Opo.
So yung pagkain lang po ng detention facility ang kinakain niya.
Opo, opo. Attorney, sinong mga nandoon po? Nabanggit po ninyo kanina si Kitty Duterte ay nandoon ngayon sa The Hague. Sino pa po mga miyembro ng pamilya Duterte ang nandoon po ngayon?
Yun po ang alam ko lang po, si Kitty, and I suppose she's accompanied by her mother, si Hanilet. When I was there, nagkataon din na when I was at The Hague, nagkataon din na si VP Sara was there. So we were able to meet together with the Filipino communities doon sa Hague.
Opo, opo.
Grabe yung suporta, if I may say about the Filipino community there, grabe yung suporta ng Filipino community sa Hague, ano?
Mm.
Walang mintis, patuloy, at At kahit na anong klaseng panahon, malamig man o mainit, at during this time, sobrang lamig, pero nandun pa rin sila, naghihintay sa paglabas ng ating dating Pangulo.
Opo. Attorney, alam naman po natin na ang gustong talagang malaman ng ating mga kababayan yung magiging kapalaran ng dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Ano ho ba yung magiging direksyon po nitong kaso po niya dyan sa ICC?
Ang pagkaalam ko, ang pending ngayon na application, ang tawag doon application, ang tawag natin dito sa lokal na our domestic judicial system, a motion, ano? Yung motion na kapending doon, it's actually an appeal on jurisdiction. Their application for jurisdiction was denied by the Pre-Trial Chamber, and now it is being heard by the Appeals Chamber. So yun po ang inihintay natin na resolution na manggagaling sa ICC. The latest of which is, if I recall, both parties or all parties have already submitted their comments or their brief, we call it appeal brief, on the issue of jurisdiction. Pero lately, yung appeals chamber ay nagpalabas ng order na kung pwede dagdagan pa yung mga komento o argumento ng mga partidos patungkol sa issue ng jurisdiction. So mukhang matindi yung pag-aaral ng ICC patungkol dito.
Opo.
If I may just probably make an opinion na kung if that will be denied, then trial will proceed. But if that will be granted, then obviously there is no case to be heard before the ICC. At makakalaya na ang dating Pangulo at makakauwi na sa Pilipinas kung the issue of jurisdiction will be granted. The lack of jurisdiction will be granted as prayed for by the former president.
Opo. So yung issue po ng pagpapalabas kay attorney kay dating Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte, attorney noong una, 'di ba binasura po yung kanyang apela noon. Wala na po 'yon. Wala na pong po pwedeng remedyo noon. So ngayon nasa issue po ng jurisdiction na.
Yung una po, ibinasura yung application to dismiss the case on grounds of jurisdiction. Kaya inapila po nila sa appeals chamber. Yung denial din, there's a similar case or similar application that I filed. When I say they, I'm referring to the defense team of the former president, headed by Attorney Nicholas Kochman. Yung issue on interim release,
Yes,
which was denied, and I understand they have filed an appeal as well.
Opo.
Motion for reconsideration on that one.
Opo. So ibig sabihin na pwede pang didesisyonan pa pala itong apela ng interim release kahit nag-apela na noong una, attorney. Wala pong magiging problema doon.
Ang pag-alam ko, there's a provision in the Rome Statutes where, kasi among the grounds that were mentioned on the prayer for interim release is his physical and medical condition ng dating Pangulo. At under the provisions of the Rome Statutes, meron pong tinatawag na review every 120 days. So baka pwede makita doon na uli when his medical and physical condition would be reviewed, and the court would review the ground for the prayer for interim release. Baka pwedeng payagan pagdating ng panahon.
Opo. Speaking of yung kalagayan po ng dating Pangulong Duterte, attorney, kumusta na po ang kanyang kalusugan?
Hindi ko po siya nakita, no? Pero intindihin na lang natin sa ganitong realidad. Siya po he is old, he's frail, and he has some medical condition. Ang pag-alam ko po, even before March 11, when he was brought to The Hague, may tinitake siya ng mga medication. So ibig sabihin po, he is under treatment for the medical condition that he has. So that said, at the fact that he's not used to that kind of weather, yung malamig doon, no? Plus the fact na I've made mention earlier na hindi siya napapakain doon sa gusto niyang kainin, ano, kagaya ng munggo, tinola, paksiw, na isda, yung mga ganun. The simple or ordinaryong pagkain na kinakain natin, yun ang paborito niya, hindi siya makakakain. So we would expect na there's a toll on his health and in his medical condition as well. So let's continue to pray for him, for his good health, especially during this time of Christmas, that we'll be able to continue to support him and that we will express our support para alam niya na patuloy itong laban na ito, patuloy na yung pagdadasal at pagsuporta para sa kanya.
Opo, maaari po bang mabago yung sitwasyon na attorney ng dating Pangulo kung maglalabas po ng medical report na nagpapakita ng seryoso na kondisyon ng dating Pangulo?
Maaari naman din po. In fact, I read one item doon sa Senate ni Attorney Kaufman na based on the medical findings, the one that was findings of the panel of medical experts that was convened by the ICC. According to them, that he is fit to stand trial, but at the same time, there is a collateral finding na he's too old to influence or even intimidate witnesses. So baka doon, it might give us some hope that they will reconsider the earlier finding of denial of interim release because among others, sinasabi nila capable pa siya na to influence or even intimidate witnesses. Sa kalagayan niya, sa akala niyo ba he would still be able to intimidate or influence witnesses? Mukhang hindi na po.
Yes.
And as it turned out, based on the opinion of Attorney Kaufman, mukhang there is that finding in the panel of experts.
Opo, may standard ho ba yung ICC pagdating po doon sa paghawak ng mga matatanda o may mga sakit na detainee sa kaso ito? Kaya ngayon, si dating Pangulong Duterte, kinukonsider na nating matanda na talaga at medyo seryoso nga itong kanyang kalusugan, kalagayan.
Opo, unfortunately po, wala akong alam. There is no precedence insofar as yung pagdidetine ng mga matatandang mga defendants as we call them and as they call them defendants na kahit na matanda na kinukulong pa rin. Dito sa ating bansa kasi may konsiderasyon pagdating sa mga matatanda. In fact, even if they're detained, where the trial is still being heard, the court would order the release upon application by the defense, no? Na mapalaya na habang nililitis yung kaso. At yun man din ang gusto natin. Hindi niya, as I have said this before, it takes full legal responsibility for what he did for the country and for the Filipino people. Pero tingnan din natin yung kalusugan ng tao para mailagay natin sa tama yung sinasabi nating hustisya.
Opo, sa inyong pananaw, attorney, patas ho ba? Naging patas ho ba yung pagtrato o naging pagtrato ng ICC dito nga po sa aplikasyon para sa interim release ng dating Pangulong Duterte?
Sa palagay ko, hindi po. No? As I made mention earlier, wala na po siyang kapasidad or intention for that matter to intimidate or influence witnesses. Ang gusto niya ay mapalaya at mapalaya siya sa detention, but at the same time, he will continue to face trial. In fact, if I may put it in context, as he have made mention that he wants to assume full legal responsibility and face whatever charges that he has been saying that he will face it before a Filipino court, before tried by a Filipino judge, because our Philippine judicial system is fully functioning insofar as cases, political or otherwise for that matter, It's fully functioning for that matter.
Opo,
So he should have been tried here in the Philippines.
Opo, attorney. Pagdating naman po doon sa transparency o impormasyon sa publiko, ano ho ba yung masasabi ninyo sa limitadong impormasyon at kawalan po ng larawan o direktang update po tungkol doon sa kalagayan ng dating Pangulong Duterte?
I suppose that is the policy of the ICC, no? Na pakonti-konti or limited ang information in terms of the physical and medical condition of the detainees there. Kaya yung mga balita na patungkol sa kanya, maririnig lang natin doon sa mga bumisita sa kanya, yung mga pamilya, yung miyembro ng pamilya. At pagkatapos ng bumisita, may mga Filipinos doon sa labas naghihintay. And when I was there, I was among them waiting for news for VP Sara to say something about how the former president is, how he's coping there inside the detention facility. So, and sometimes the defense team din kasi would also visit him from time to time, and they would also give us some updates. But other than that, wala po, at least to me, wala po tayong maririnig officially from the ICC pantungkol sa kalagayan ng mga detainees sa loob ng detention facility.
Opo, opo. Attorney, bago ko po ipasa kay partner Admar, dapat ho bang mapanagot o may pananagutan ho ba ang ICC kung ano man ang mangyari dyan po kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte?
Patungkol sa ICC, I'd like to put this in context since you mentioned about the ICC. Yung ICC is a creation of the United Nations, way back in 1998, very hotly debated for 5 weeks ata before they came up in Italy, in Rome. And that's the reason why when that was finally drafted, it was called the Rome Statute. Having said that, pagdating sa mga ganong klase kasi, these are what you call international agreements. These are treaties, so to speak. Kung saan yung mga bansa, sang-ayon doon sa provision na yan, will consent to this treaty or statute for that matter that they have made. And in context, almost 200 or more or less about 195 UN members po, United Nations members all across the world, but only 125 have adopted the Rome Statute. Ibig sabihin, we are talking about more than 60 or 68 nations who have not agreed, consented to, or even want to be governed under the Rome Statute. Kasama na po yung mga malalaking bansa. US, Russia, China, India, and a lot of countries in the Middle East, including Israel. So for those who don't want to be governed by the Rome Statute, hindi sila masakop sa mga provisions under the Rome Statute. Anong investigasyon na yan, they're not supposed to be covered by it. But the Philippine situation is unique. Dahil nga kahit na hindi na tayo membro at sinasabi na nga ng administrasyon ito that they're not going to assist the ICC in any shape or form, patuloy pa rin yung pagbibigay suporta patungkol dito sa kaso ng dating Pangulo. So this is what's unique about this case of former President Duterte. And I hope we would be able to correct this mistake, even here in the Philippines, domestically, by not supporting in any way the ongoing ICC investigation into the case. Alam nyo ba hanggang ngayon kumakalap pa sila ng ebidensya? Sa ating sistema kasi, sa ating judicial system, baliktad yung nangyayari din sa ICC. The police, when there is a crime, the police investigate. And then the police, when there is what you call case build-up, when there's a case to be filed, they file it in the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office conducts a preliminary investigation. When they determine probable cause, they will file it in court. lahat nitong ebidensya nito pagdating sa korte, nakalap na. And then the court will issue a warrant. And then the case will proceed on the basis of yung ebidensya na nakalap ng police, na-appreciate ng prosecutor, gano'n. Pero sa ICC po, iba. Hanggang ngayon, kumakalap pa sila ng ebidensya kahit na meron na silang warrant of arrest to justify the arrest and detention of the former president. Yun po ang kaibahan dyan. Hanggang po doon sa punto na tinatawag na confirmation of charges. Kaya if you would recall, meron pong report yung Manila Times, which was also cited in the ICC website, na meron yung tinatawag na application for victims participation. So ibig sabihin, kumakala pa sila ng ebidensya ng mga alleged victims to participate in the case until now na nakakulong na ang dating Pangulo.
Attorney, may buntag si Admar po ito.
Hello,
Nababalot po.
good morning po.
Opo, good morning. Sir, nababalot po ng kontrobersya din ngayon ang ICC, no? Maliban doon sa pagkaka-involve nga kay former President Rodrigo Duterte, yung pag-question sa kanila pong jurisdiction, pinatawan po sila ng sanction, ginawa pang wanted ng US yon, ginawa pang wanted ng Russia, at marami din pong mga bansa na ayaw na rin na magpasakop or matras na sa kanilang jurisdiction po, attorney. Sa tingin nyo po, may malaking tulong ito sa kaso po ni former President Rodrigo Duterte?
May impact, no, sa kaso. As I've said earlier, the Rome Statute should only be applied to the countries who have accepted the provision of the Rome Statute. Ibig sabihin, who became what you call state parties to this statute. Yung mga nations, yung mga bansa na ayaw sumapit dito, respect them. Do not, nangyayari kasi like in the case of Israel, Israel is not a member and yet the ICC is investigating that particular, the country of, the nation of Israel. And as it turned out, what are they investigating? They're investigating alleged crimes that allegedly happened inside Palestine or particularly in Gaza. Palestine is not a member of the ICC. No? So, ganun din ang, that's the reason why these countries are upset, if I may call it that way. No? In fact, angry, considering the fact that they already have imposed sanctions on ICC judges for having to proceed with the investigation involving these countries who are not members or state parties to the Rome Statute. So yun po yung problema dito kung bakit makikialam yung yung ICC sa mga bansa na hindi naman gustong sumapi dito sa provision under the Rome Statutes.
Opo. And dito naman po sa nabanggit nyo po na overwhelming yung suporta, mahigit 9 na buwan na po na nakadetine ang dating Pangulo sa ICC. Para po sa mga nagtataka rin, bakit kaya hindi nawawala, hindi naglalaho yung suporta ng ating mga kababayan sa dating Pangulo kahit na hindi nila ito nakikita sa mahabang panahon. Siguro huling public appearance niya maliban doon sa Hong Kong ay yung panahon po na siya po'y inaaresto po, attorney.
I'll put that into context, Admar. Una, I came across with a survey dated May 2025. Yung survey na yan, siguro you can Google it, na nagtaka ako kung bakit in terms of trust rating, hindi naman siya Pangulo for the last 3 years, siya yung nasa taas. 65% if I may recall. Followed by VP Sara. Pangatlo sa baba, si President Bongbong. So ganun po siya kapopular even after he has left office for several years now. And in a personal context, nung bumisita ako sa Hague nung April at ngayon sa December, nakakabusog puso po yung patuloy na suporta ng mga Filipinos. Hindi lang po yung those based in The Hague, pati yung mga Pilipino galing sa labas ng Netherlands na bumibisita doon kahit na hindi nila makita yung dating Pangulo. Basta makakapunta lang as close as they can doon sa tinatawag na Duterte Street. Magsalo-salo, kantahan, kwentuhan, tuloy po yung dagsaan ng mga tao. At gumagastos sila ng oras, oras, pamasahe. In fact, at one time, ayaw ko kung biro yung sinabi ng Pangulo last when we were there. Sabi niya, nung nalaman ng presidente na may mga tao pa doon sa labas, sabi niya, sabihin niyo na pauwi na sila kasi malamig. Wala na tayong magawa kung gusto nilang maghintay at maglabas at express their support and prayer to the former president. So, yun po yung ako hindi na ako magtataka. Siguro sa ibang tao magtataka sila kung bakit hanggang ngayon ganun yung klaseng suporta. Lalong-lalo na sa mga OFWs.
Opo. Attorney, itong mataas pa rin na pagsuporta, mataas pa rin na impluensya ng dating Pangulo dito sa mga supporters po niya, nakikita niyo po ba ito na parang banta? Kasi doon po sa interim release na decision din, parang ito rin yung nababanggit Kumbaga, yung pagkapanalo niya as mayor, kung maalala niyo po, yung during sa kanyang birthday, grabe yung suporta buong bansa, mga supporters niya sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. And at the same time, sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo, talagang nagdiwang sa kanyang kaarawan kahit wala doon po yung birthday celebrant. May tuturing ba itong banta din? Kasi ito yung nakikita na dahil meron pa rin siyang say, meron pa rin siyang impluensya, baka hindi na ito magpakita kung papayagan yung interim release po, Attorney.
Magandang katanungan po yan and good that you mentioned that. Kasi when I read the decision denying the interim release, isa po yan dun sa sinabi na grounds why they denied it. Malakas yung influensya. Sabi ko naman, pag malakas yung suporta, pagdadasal para sa isang tao, naniniwala sila dun sa tao na yon, don't take it against that person. Hindi mo mapigil yung tao na magpalabas ng expression of support and prayer to that particular person. In this case, the former president. So don't take it against him. If there's so much support, you might consider it as influence, pero sa kalagayan niya, narinig niyo ba sa kanya na, sige, marami akong suporta, habulin niyo yung mga nag-file ng kaso sa akin? Wala kang marinig sa kanya. Kaya yun, dun pa lang, do not interpret the overwhelming support and prayer of people across the world, not only of Filipinos, or mostly Filipinos, but even non-Filipinos for that matter. And that would now be construed against the man who is detained in The Hague. Hindi mo mapigilan yung mga tao na magbigay na magpapahayag ng suporta at dasal para sa kanya. So I think that has to be taken in its proper context. No? That has to be taken in its proper context. Wala kang marinig sa kanya na that he is asking his supporters to do something about his case. Wala po. And what gives him that reason, that motivation to continue with this fight, notwithstanding his condition, the difficult circumstances that he is in now, is because of the support and prayer of the people across the world. So yun po ang gusto nating iklaro lang sa punto ng appreciation on whether may banta o yung impluensya would be equated to banta. Wala kang maririnig sa kanya na pagbabanta gamit yung mga tao who have been expressing support. You never heard it from him. And I can say that as a lawyer, I've never heard it from him as well.
Opo, attorney, pag upo pa lang ng dating Pangulo sa pagka-presidente noong 2016, mataas na yung grado na binigay sa kanya ng publiko. Pagbaba niya, mataas pa rin yung grado na binigay ng publiko sa kanya, yung satisfaction, trust rating, at nagtuloy-tuloy yan at nabanggit mo nga hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Kaya nga nag-uumapaw pa rin ang pagpapahayag ng suporta sa dating Pangulo. Hindi ba ito maaring kumbaga patunay na yung mga akusasyon laban sa kanya ay mali? Kasi kung meron siyang pang-aabuso na ginawa sa kanyang termino, hindi po ba magre-reflect din yan at ang taong bayan ang makapagsasabi kung ito ba'y naging mabuti na leader o naging masamang leader, naging abusadong leader, at yung mga akusasyon laban sa kanya ay totoo, hindi, attorney?
Alam mo, may nakausap ako the other night during a Christmas party. Exactly what you told me. Ganon din ang sinabi niya. Kung talagang masama yung tao, may ginawa na maramihang paglabag sa batas, bakit umaapaw at patuloy, hindi lang umaapaw, at patuloy yung suporta para sa kanya? So, yun pa lang, you have to ask that question yourself. All across the political divide, kasama na yung nasa kabila na ayaw maniwala na yung dating Pangulo, si Tatay Digong, si Mayor Rudy, sa mga kaibigan, bahay nga lang ang gusto niyang matawag sa kanya, na he did it for the country and for the Filipino people. Yun po ang pabalik-balik na sinasabi. And in fact, during the campaign, I saw one video clip. Sabi niya, sa gagawin kong ito, mukhang makikita ko makukulong ako. Pero hindi niya aatrasan yung kailangan niyang gawin para sa bansa at para sa mamamayang Pilipino. Yun ang kaibahan. And, pero if I may, magdagdag lang ako sa maliit na konteksto dito sa taong ito. The other day, a few days ago, sensya na, I attended a Christmas party sa mga bata at sa mga abused women. Palagi yan, Pasko, every Christmas. These are his advocacies dito sa Davao. Hindi alam ng mga hindi taga Davao. Pero every Christmas and year-round, he has been supporting this advocacy. Dalawang tao ang lalambot sa puso niya. Bata at mga babaeng inaabuso. So hindi ako magtataka kung bakit patuloy yung suporta at pagdadasal sa taong ito.
Opo. Attorney, may dagdag ko lang din po. Sa political capital na kanya pong naliko mula nung siya ay local official pa, no, hanggang sa naging presidente nga. Ito ba'y kanya ring na ibahagi doon sa kanyang mga anak na nasa politika rin ngayon, lalo na kay Vice President Sara Duterte? Alam natin si VP Sara, local official yan, nag-umpisa, no? Wala namang national position hanggang sa naging Vice President. Pero alam natin, limited lang yung kanyang kapangyarihan. Naging Cabinet Secretary or naging DepEd Secretary din po siya and naging President. Pero unlike sa pagiging Presidente or ibang mga national, talagang maraming mga nagagawa, maraming kapangyarihan. At nananatili siyang mataas ngayon. At yung iba pang mga anak niya, talagang laman din, no? Na kahit na yung mga taga-ibang lugar na hindi lang taga Davao City, hindi lang taga Mindanao, talagang kilala at kumbaga kinikilala sila, no? Kahit na hindi pa nakapagsilbi in a national level. Ito bang mga naibahagi ba ni ni former President Rodrigo Duterte itong mga political capital na kanyang nalikom po sa mahabang kanyang posisyon po, sa mahaba pagsiservisyo niya?
I would look at it in a more fundamental way. Hindi lang po political capital ito, kundi karakter ng tao na ipamana doon sa mga anak. Karakter po ito. Kaya kung ano makita ng tao, yun yung personalidad at karakter ng tao. Alam niyo ba yung pumunta ako sa HIC na nung December na nakita kami ni VP Sara, I was surprised as every day he would visit his father, he would take the bus. Wala po siyang private vehicle doon. Naglalakad doon sa bus station. Pagdating doon sa bus station, lalakad ka pa ng more than half a kilometer to the detention facility. Yun po ang ginagawa ni VP Sara. So it's basically the character of the person. So if you would be able to project that, in a very honest, candid manner to the people that you serve, ang resulting effect nga, yung sinasabi mong political capital. Pag hindi ka matino, hindi ka honest, no? In your dealings with sa kapwa, sa tao. And in this case, yung sinisilbihan mo, ay wala talagang maniwala sa iyo. O kung meron man, yung doon sa baka makakakuha ng what you call people of vested interest, you know. But to the people whom you really want to serve, and you show that kind of true character, the character not just a leader, but as a person who is willing to share your life with others, the resulting effect is the huge political capital that you had. And by the way, the motivation is not the political capital. The motivation is simply to serve. Kung it's simply wanting to do what is right sa kapwa mo. Yun. At nakita ko yan sa dating presidente. Nakita ko rin yan sa mga anak. Marami nagsasabi nga at I'm one of them. Baste is makita mo yung ama.
Bilang panghuli na lang mula sa akin na katanungan, kasi po yung nadadaanan ngayon ni ni Vice President Sara Duterte na mga critics, mga iba't ibang mga aligasyon sa kanya at nabanggit nga niya ay ito pong possible na pagharang para sa possible niyang pagtakbo sa 2028. Ito rin ay napagdaanan po ni former President Rodrigo Duterte nung siya tumatakbo, biglang nagsulputan yung kanyang mga issue. So, ang kaibahan lang din, kung maalala din natin, panahon po noong tumatakbo rin or nagpahayag ng pagtakbo itong si dating Vice President Binay. Siya yung nangunguna sa sa mga survey din for presidential. Medyo napuruhan siya ng husto. Pero ang kakaiba dito ngayon kay Vice President Sara Duterte, mas mataas pa rin yung kanyang rating kaysa sa Pangulo sa kabila ng limitado niyang kapangyarihan sa executive. Sinasabi nga, spare tire lang po siya. So itong lahat po, kumbaga naka-build up na rin itong si Vice President Sara Duterte po, o malaki rin ang ambag ng kanyang tatay po dito na naipamana nga, gaya nga ng napag-usapan natin kanina, Attorney.
Opo, one thing that carries in her is a character of the character that she inherited from her father, and she can stand on her own insofar as the personality that she has right now, not just as Inday Sara, but as a public servant, Pero hanggang sa ngayon hindi man siya nagsasabi na tatakbo siya o hindi, for that matter. So ako, on my part, I will have to leave it at that, insofar as she is concerned. But I would recall, because you mentioned about yung pagtakbo ng dating Pangulo, I would recall that time when former President or Mayor Rudy even until the end when he finally decided to file his certificate of candidacy for the presidency. He keeps on saying no, no, no. At totoo po yan, hindi po yan yung parang pamulitika na no pero yes pala. And there have been a lot of occasions where, and he knows the pressure that the people around him and even around the world that they want him to run for president. But eto sa akin na ito. But any political animal, for that matter, no, any politician would always aspire something higher. Pero sa nakikita niya, mahirap. Kasi a lot of it were not in his favor. Una, sinong mayor ang naging presidente kaagad? Tumakbong presidente yung mayor at nanalo. Wala pa po sa kasaysayan. Wala po siyang partido. Yung partido niya, sobrang liit, no? May yung PDP Laban, meron pa nga nagsabi sa akin na tricycle party. Kakasya lang sa isang tricycle yung partido, yung both in the members of the House and in the Senate. So ganun lang po, kaliit at that time. And then wala rin po siyang political machinery at pera na tatakbo on a national campaign. So yun po yung mga situation that he was in at that time. But it has to come to a point where he has to decide on his own, and which he did, no? And if I may share this, he keeps on saying no until I got a call. And napupunta ako na Maynila na hindi ko alam kung bakit until I was told what I'm supposed to do then. So bit-bit ko yung certificate of candidacy niya. And yun na yung, that's when I realized that he has already made that decision to run. So me and E.S. Miljaldea, Bingbong Miljaldea, were the ones who filed the COC of Mayor Duterte doon sa COMELEC, November of 2015. And as we say, the rest is history.
Opo. Attorney, huli na lang, itong may kaugnayan pa rin po dito sa ICC dahil nga napapabalita itong paghahain ng arrest warrant laban kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. Sa tingin po ninyo, tulad po nung nangyari kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, ganun din po ang sasapitin itong si Senator Bato de la Rosa?
I hope not. For a number of reasons. Una, on the day that the events were unfolding on March 11, we actually have filed a petition for certiorari prohibition and a prayer for TRO before the Supreme Court. No? Yung petitioners doon, si dating Pangulo, si Mayor Rudy, at saka si Senator Bato de la Rosa. And the prayer was to seek the non-cooperation of government to assist the ICC in whatever way. No? So that petition is still pending before the Supreme Court, and I don't wish to further discuss that insofar as the merits are concerned. Pangalawa, meron pong pinalabas na bagong rules on extradition yung Korte Suprema mismo on how extrajudicial proceedings are supposed to commence and resolve for that matter. And one very important feature there, which simply reaffirms all previous policy, is that there has to be referral to a domestic court. Ibig sabihin, wala pong foreign order or judgment na pwedeng ma-enforce dito sa loob ng Pilipinas unless you make recourse or idadaan sa ating lokal na korte. So nakalaan na po yung mga procedures diyan kung paano, but what is really important is idadaan sa korte mismo bago and by the way, idadaan sa korte to resolve the issue on whether dadalhin ba si Senator Bato de la Rosa sa ICC. It's not the ICC who will decide on that. It's the local court of the Philippines who will resolve that issue.
Ayan. Alright, attorney, siguro huling mensahe na lang po ninyo para sa ating mga kababayan na nanonood po sa mga oras na ito.
Salamat po sa pagkakataon and uulitin ko lang po, patuloy lang po kayo. This is our plea that we continue to pray, support, and be one with the former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, as he would want to be fondly called Mayor Rudy, or Bay for that matter. So ganun po siya ka-ordinaryong tao sa amin na nakakakilala sa kanya. Salamat po.
Maraming
And may
salamat.
God bless us and may God bless Mayor Rudy.